I'm going to be chronicling my own existence. Quite frankly, that's the ultimate selfie. But notice I'm doing selfies, aren't I? And what does this mean? I think that the Jewish opus is predicated on a directive that one is supposed to believe that the world was created for me. In other words, everything comes down for the individual, for the selfie, for the mine. And each one has his own mine. I had a discussion last night with a man. It wasn't necessarily about Judaism, and it was brought up that we were talking about death and the Hagakur. I've talked about this book before. It's the Bible of the samurai warriors. The secret of the samurai warrior is that he's supposed to feel that he's already dead. I've mentioned this. When you go into a crowded room and you're already dead, you can go slashing through the room. The other people are alive and protecting their life. So the samurai, who's a very enlightened soul, is as if he is already dead. How is that in Judaism? What level is that in Judaism? The already dead. The kind of idea of bittul. This is the world of Atziluyus. The world of Atziluyus is bittul. To rise up into the bittul, into the level of bittul. That's beyond the created worlds of Bria and Yetzirah and Osea. That's beyond the Torah. It's the Torah of the Aleph, not the Torah of the Bet. The Bet begins the world of Bria, but there's a world of Atziluyut, the Aleph, before birth and Bria, before this physical existence. And who gets into that existence? Who gets into the level of Atziluyut? For me, it's the Nazir. The Nazir is a self-realized man within this continuum that we have in life. It's a man or a woman, and any person can be like a Kohen. He establishes himself as a Kohen, as a priest, even though he's in his Israelite. He takes on this high role. It's his choice. And what does he have to do? There are three things that the normal Nazir does. I've talked about this before. But there's only two things for a Shimshon Nazir. The major thing is that he doesn't cut his hair. Hair has life in it, so we don't cut the hair. The next thing is that he doesn't eat grapes. Why? Because grapes comes from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, and it brings death into the world. That's what the fruit theoretically is of the knowledge of good and evil. It brings death into the world. And then the third thing is he can't get tameh. He can't be around dead people. He can't even be around a knitter. And he's not supposed to be in a room with dead people. So everything looks like it's the avoidance of death. However, it's the embrace of death. It's the negation of the negation in the Hegelian sense. We have the positive, we have the negative, And then we have the negative of the negative. And that is the Nazir's role. It's not that he doesn't cut his hair to avoid death, or he doesn't eat grapes to avoid death, and he doesn't avoid death to avoid death. It's the exact opposite. He is embraced in death because he's already dead. And that's why if a Kohen and a Nazir is walking down the street and there's a met mitzvah, it's the Nazir that takes care of the met mitzvah and doesn't let the Kohen get tameh. And this is a very deep, deep principle. The Nazir is already dead. He's the samurai. And that's why Shimshon is a warrior. Now, what I've just told you is, again, my level here that I'm coming out with, so to speak. And when you find another Nazir, go listen to him. But in the meantime, this brings and this unites many different roles within the secular society and other traditions. That the Nazir is not avoiding death, but is so much into death that he's already dead. And when you're already dead, nothing can affect you. Nothing can affect you because you're dead. So I'm walking around as a dead man. I'm already dead. So what can bother me if I'm already dead? Anyway, so this is a chronicling of my own existence. It's always has been, but especially now, since I'm the Nazir. And if you find another one, please come and tell me, because I'd like to speak to them. And this is a sensitivity that one gets from this. And this, first of all, always know it's biblical. It's not like some imagination of mine. It has its relationship to the Sota. It has its relationship to the Kohen. It has its relationship to sexuality. It has its relationships to a lot of factors that are kept from us. You know, in the rabbinical tradition. And its studies are even kept from us into the rabbinical within the rabbinical tradition. So we're not exposed to this. So it looks odd, it sounds weird. But wouldn't it be funny if this is the true direction of Judaism? And for those who want to take the Nazareth vow. The Nazir's vow. And read about it a little bit. See what it really means. It's the complete avoidance of death that shows its negation. And it's really about death. And remember the din of the word emet is met. Mem tov, death.